Hello, I'm Nora, and this, whose little ear you can see, is Cheerio, and welcome back to Novels with Nora. I have made 2 videos already this year talking about my anticipated releases and just kind of sharing all of the books that are coming out in 2025 that I was excited about. And today, we are going to be kind of capping off those videos by going over all of the books that I've talked about here on YouTube and shared on my Instagram and seeing if I am still interested in them and if I have even read any of them. Because it's so easy at the beginning of the year to be like, here's all the books I'm excited about that I really want to get to this year. And then as you hear more about those books and as reviews come out and as you start reading more things throughout the year, you forget about them, you lose interest in them, you pick them up and they're disappointing. And I want to just make this video to go over the books that I've read, the ones that I haven't read, the ones I still want to read, and the ones that I'm no longer interested in. And this is also just like to help me. I feel like, I don't want to say I'm in a reading slump, but I have not read anything in like a week and a half, and I'm like not feeling like I want to start reading. So I'm kind of hoping that this video and talking through all the books that I at one point was really excited about is going to kind of reinvigorate me into reading and like get me to want to pick something up. So that is my hope, but also I feel like it would just be good for me to reflect on all of these. So I have made a list of all of the things I've talked about and like separated them into categories, but I haven't really thought too much about those books. So I'll be doing some reflection, seeing if there's things that I'm still interested in, how many things I'm still interested in, and how many of the things that I've talked about I've already read, if any. And there are a few, but we'll have to see just how many. So I'm very curious to see how this goes because I get so excited at the beginning of the year to make my list of books I'm excited for, and it's always the hope that I'll read all of them, but I never end up doing that. But I never really like reflect back to see how I've done with that goal and how many of those books that I read. And today that changes. I'm going to start with the things that I have already read, and I'm happy to say that there are quite a few. And first and foremost is Wings of Starlight. I was so excited when this was announced that obviously I was going to get to this one. All of these things that are on this list are things that I had hoped to get to at some point, just didn't know if or when I was going to get to them, but like wanted to at some point. I just have this bad habit of like pre-ordering books or buying books and then just letting them sit on my shelves while I read my library books instead. So I'm really happy to say that I did get to this one and I read it very quickly after I got it. This one had an issue where like bookstores just like didn't have it in stock. Like they couldn't even keep it in stock online. So I don't know on whose end that problem came from, but it was really hard to get my hands on this. So when I did, I read it almost immediately after, and I have a whole vlog dedicated to it, and I love this. So in this video, I'm not going to be going over like the synopsis of any of these books because again, I have 1 or 2 videos on this channel talking about all of these books and why I'm excited about them. But this I loved so much. It was so good and so emotional, and I knew it was gonna break my heart, but it was like so much worse than I thought, but I loved it so much. And I'm so happy that I read this because it really just like reinvigorated my love of Tinkerbell and Pixie Hollow, and I had such a great time with this. And that vlog was like super fun for me to film. So would highly recommend checking that out, but I have read this one. I've decided just now that I'm gonna talk about all of the ones that I've read and own, and then I'll do the ones that I've read but don't own. So next is The Starving Saints. And this I think I only talked about in one of the 2 videos. I'm pretty sure I did 2. I think I did one talking about all of the books I was excited about and then one ranking them to see like where they were gonna fall. And this, I think, was only in that second video because I didn't find out about it until a little bit later. And I kind of picked this one up on a whim because, well, I read it from my library. I had it checked out, and then I loved it so much, and it was 5 stars, so I ended up buying myself a copy. And I really love this. This was like a big surprise because it had a lot of like mixed reactions from people. Some being like, it didn't really make sense to me. It didn't like do anything for me. I didn't really care. And then some people being like, I absolutely loved it. And I'm one of those people who absolutely loved it. So I feel like it really goes to show that like sometimes waiting for the reviews is a good thing. And sometimes it's not really going to swing your opinion in either direction because there are some people who love it and some people who hate it. And you have to read it for yourself to figure out where you fall. And for me, this is one where it's like, you really just have to read it to know if you're going to be one of the people who likes it. But I ended up really loving this, and I'm so glad that I got my hands on a copy. Brighter Than Scale, Swifter Than Flame is something that I got an e-arc, and absolutely loved it, and then went out and pre-ordered myself a copy because I loved it so much. This is a novella, and so I was unsure as to whether or not I was really going to actually even end up picking this up because I don't read a whole lot of novellas, and I never read anything from Neon Yang before. I own one of their other books, Misery of Genesis, I think. Genesis of Misery, and I haven't read it yet. So I was like, I don't know if this is something I really want to pick up, but I ended up getting an arc because it's about like sapphic dragon hunters, and so I was like, it sounds like something I would really have a potential to love. So I got the arc. I was approved to read it. I did, loved it, pre-ordered a copy and now own it. And this is just like this is like might be my favorite cover of the year. Like, this is stunning. So I'm so happy to own this one, and I'm so glad that I like kind of took a risk with this, because again, novella, author I hadn't read from before, but like plot, this sounded super up my alley, and I ended up really loving this, and I would highly recommend it. I do not see enough people talking about this. I don't know if it's because it's a novella or because an author who doesn't have a lot of like social media presence, but this is such a good novella, and I loved it so much. Like, everything it did just worked perfectly for me. Highly recommend picking this one up. And then finally, for the things I own, The Ashfire King. This is one that I was not anticipating at the beginning of the year, because this is the second in a trilogy, and I hadn't read the first book in the trilogy when I was first making my list of anticipated releases. And then I read The Stardust Thief, the first book, absolutely loved it, found out that this was coming out this year, got an arc of it, absolutely loved it, and immediately pre-ordered a copy. And I got mine signed and personalized, and so there's like a quote and a little drawing. This series, just the fact that I only found it this year, but it has already become like one of my favorite books of all time, one of my favorite series of all time, if not my favorite. It's just crazy that like that can happen so quickly, and it can be things like Stardust Thief sat on my shelf for years before I finally picked it up, and now it's like I think about it all the time, and I love this book series, and it's another one that I don't see enough people talking about. So this one should be anticipated for you, because I love it so much, and the fact that I found like a whole new favorite author, series, books just like on a whim, I just love reading. And like this, just like it did everything that I want a fantasy to do. It did it all, and it did it perfectly, and beautiful. I cannot wait for the third book. That's going to be my anticipated release for whatever year that ends up coming out in, and you can bet that I will be reading it as soon as it comes out, and I will be pre-ordering. I will be requesting an arc. Like, I love this series so much. Moving on to the things that I have read but don't own, there are a few good things in here and a few disappointments, and we are unfortunately starting with a disappointment, Sunrise on the Reaping. I did read this, and I have read all of the other Hunger Games books, but I don't own them. My brother has like a whole paperback set, and I don't know if this one's even out in paperback yet, so I wasn't gonna buy it, especially because I was feeling a bit apprehensive about this one going into it, just because I'm not like the biggest Hunger Games fan. I grew up watching the movies more than reading the books. I didn't read the books until before Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes was coming out. I read them in college, and so I don't have like that like nostalgia of like reading them in my childhood, and so I didn't own them. And my brother got them for Christmas, I think last year. So I would say I'm newer to the world. So I was like, I don't know how I feel about like a new book coming out. And I think I gave it like 3.5 stars. I made a whole video talking about my thoughts on it. All of the videos that I mentioned, I'll link below. But like, I thought it was fine. I just feel like I didn't really see the point. I don't think it added that much more to like the world of Panem that I felt like it was necessary. Like, it did a lot of things that I really enjoyed. Like, it was a Hunger Games novel, so I enjoyed it, but it just felt like I wanted it to do something different, and then it didn't, which is like my own expectations were the problem here. But I wanted it to talk about like Haymitch as a mentor rather than Haymitch like in his games, just because we'd already seen the games. I don't know, it just did a lot of things that felt repetitive, and the messaging felt like really heavy-handed, and so it wasn't my favorite. I did read it, didn't love it. Then another disappointment that I was like really actually upset about is Cold Eternity by S.A. Barnes. Dead Silence by this author is one of my favorite books of all time. It's set in space. It's my favorite space horror that I've ever read. I love that novel. And then her second novel, Ghost Station, I read, thought it was fine. It felt like a letdown from her first novel that I loved so much. So when this was announced, I was apprehensively excited because I wanted to love it so badly, because Dead Silence, loved it. Like, so I know what this author can do, and so I didn't pre-order this and I didn't buy a copy because I was like, I want to read it first. And I'm glad I did that, because I ended up getting it from the library, and it's my least favorite thing that she's written. So I did not like our main character, and it's very much like she's the only character. It's a very like isolationist story, so if you don't like her, you kind of lose everything else. And so it just felt like, how can we go from like her first release, like her debut book, loved, ate up, my favorite thing ever. I was like calling it my favorite book. I was saying she was a new favorite author. Should not have done that because it was only her first book. And like from there, she's just like gone downhill. So I don't know that I like all of her future releases like will be on my radar. I'm just probably going to only be picking them up through the library and not pre-ordering them, just because there's a chance that I absolutely love it and it becomes like my new favorite thing. But there's also a chance that I don't enjoy it, and it in fact makes me angry because I know the potential this author has, and she's just like not living up to it for me. And the thing is, the books aren't bad. I think I'm just comparing them to Dead Silence, and they're just not living up to it, which is like my own fault, but like I know what she can do, and they're just not doing it for me. So I was really disappointed in this one. And then another novel that I wasn't super aware of at the beginning of the year and then became more aware of as one does, and that is If We Survive This by Raquel Marie. And this, the cover, first of all, beautiful, and it was like a premise really hooked me in because it's about a zombie apocalypse, and I love zombie apocalypse stories. something about them just really worked for me. Like, I have never watched The Walking Dead or any like zombie like visual medias, don't like it, but reading about it I really enjoy, and so this really got me hooked. And it's sapphic and our main character has OCD, so I was like, okay, I could be into this. And I requested an arc of it and got approved and read it, and it was so good. I read the arc after it had already come out, so I also listened to the audiobook, and I would highly recommend that because the audiobook is narrated by the author, and just like the amount of emotion that she puts into it, this really surprised me. I didn't end up loving this one, but I really enjoyed it. It has like an ambiguous ending that worked so well for me, and I just loved the character exploration. What I've learned about myself through this year is that I'm a big character-driven reader, so I need like strong characters in my novels, and this was beautiful. Like, it had like the surrounding plot and like world building that like really helped and like was really good, but the character exploration in here was my favorite thing ever. And there was a little dog, and nothing bad happens to the dog. It was so nice. It just didn't do anything like special for me, so I enjoyed it, I just didn't love it. Then something that was actually a really big surprise, because it was from an author that I'd never read from before, and that is A Treachery of Swans by A.B. Poranek. I read that actually just earlier this month, and I absolutely loved it. All I knew about this was that it was a sapphic Swan Lake retelling, and then the cover, obviously, and the cover is really what drew me into this, and also that it was sapphic. If things are marketed as being sapphic, I'm usually more I'm interested, you know? And then the plot just kind of either helps or like, right, we go from there. But this one, the cover really drew me in, and it being sapphic, I was like, okay, I really like this. I hadn't read anything from A.B. Poranek before. Picked this one up just because the cover, the premise, I am not familiar with Swan Lake, and I wasn't before going into this. I was like vaguely familiar, but like, right. And this really like blew me away. This is this author's second novel, and oh my gosh, it was wonderful. I gave it 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. I'm going to be buying myself a copy because I loved it so much. Like, it really surprised me because, again, I didn't really have any expectations going into this one, and it really blew me away. And I will be reading everything else that A.B. Poranek writes because I love this. Her writing was just stunning. Like, the world building, it had like really great world building and really great character exploration. Really blew me away and very much surprised me. Then the final thing that I've read is Say a Little Prayer by Jenna Voris, and this one was kind of a disappointment, but I also didn't have that high of expectations going into it because it was a contemporary novel, and I feel like YA contemporary romances, even if they are sapphic, tend to just not be my favorite things just because I feel like I want more plot. I'm a fantasy sci-fi reader, as I'm sure you can tell, but I've really been branching out this year, and I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing or not. Like, it's good to branch out, but I feel like, especially in like when I go like contemporary, I'm just never as invested in the stories because I like a magical plot, like a lot going on in the plot, and a lot of times contemporary romances just like don't do that, especially when they're YA. And I will say this one was good, it was fine, it just didn't really do anything that like shocked me, wowed me, surprised me. Like, as soon as I started reading it, I knew where the novel was going to end, and it hit all of the steps that I thought it was going to hit. Like, there was nothing in there that I was like, oh wow, okay, which isn't a bad thing. Like, it did all of those things really well. It just felt very formulaic and very, I don't want to say generic, but like very much what you'd expect from this novel. So I did enjoy it. It just wasn't anything special for me, but I have read it. And with that, those are all of the things that I have actually read of my anticipated releases, and there were only 9 on that list. So not great, not horrible. We still have a lot of things to talk about, so, you know, I should probably be trying to up these numbers. But next, I'm going to move into talking about all of the things that I am still excited about, was anticipating, and am still excited for, and I do own a few of them. So hopefully I'll be getting to them soon, but let's go through this list. First and foremost is a book that I've talked about so many times on this channel and can't wait to finally get to, and that is Hungerstone by Kat Dunn. I do own this copy. I got it on release day or like the next day, and I do have a video planned for this. I've been talking about this video for like so long. This is going to be in my vampire reading vlog in October, which is coming very soon. So I do have plans to read this one, and I've just been saving it for that, but I am really excited for this, and I will be getting to it soon. Then I have Lady Dragon by A.M. Strickland, and I love this author's work. I clearly have pre-ordered this, and I pre-ordered it from a little bookstore in Alaska, specifically to get this art print, which is really dark, and you can't really tell what's going on, but it's got dragons and our 2 sapphic main characters, and it's just so pretty, and I will for sure be reading this. I think my hold for the audiobook just came in, so I will be reading this. Honestly, this might be the next thing that I pick up, just because I feel like I really need something that's gonna, like I said, I feel like I'm not quite in a slump yet, but if I let it keep going, I will get there, and this might be what I need to pull me out of that. So this might be my next read, but I am really excited for this. I was just waiting for that hold to come in, and now that it is, I think I might actually pick this up later today. But I am still clearly very excited for this one. Then I have Among the Burning Flowers by Samantha Shannon, and I do have this one pre-ordered, but I pre-ordered it from The Broken Binding, which is like a UK-based shop, so it's taking a little while to get shipped to me, but I do have that pre-ordered, and it is on its way. I don't know when I'm actually gonna get to this one because I've been saying that I kind of want to do like a Roots of Chaos reading vlog where I read Priory of the Orange Tree, A Day of Fallen Night, and Among the Burning Flowers in one video. But Priory of the Orange Tree and A Day of Fallen Night are huge, like over 800 page like tomes, and so I don't know when I'm gonna have the time to like devote to those, but I want to read them all like together. So I don't know when I'm gonna get around to that. Among the Burning Flowers is shorter, and I think that like chronologically that one comes first, so it would be a good place to start to like get back into that. So when that gets in, that might be something that I do. I'm not sure. We'll have to see. I am excited about reading it. Clearly, I just have to make the time to actually get to it. And those are the only 3 things that I'm still excited for that I own or will soon own. Everything else I'm still excited for, I just don't own them. So first, something that I tried really hard to get my hands on, and that is Captain of Fates, which is in the Twin Crowns world. It's not in like the exact trilogy, but it's like a spin-off. I don't think this was published in the US. I think this was like a UK only published book. And so I went to my library, I went to like Libby, Hoopla, my physical library, and it just like doesn't exist there. So I'm gonna have to like order it from Waterstones if I want to read it. And I have not made that jump yet just because ordering from Waterstones, I try and like do like anything that I'm trying to get from there all at once. And I know that a similar type of spinoff, King of Beasts, is coming out early next year. So I think I might wait for that to come out and then order them together and have them shipped here. Unless they magically get a US publishing, because I would love that. Please, I really want to read these and I can't. So that's honestly really upsetting. I remember when I was putting library holds on all of these things that I was excited for but didn't necessarily want to pre-order just yet. And I went looking for this and I could not find it, and it made me so upset. So I do really want to read this because I love the Twin Crowns series, but I just like genuinely cannot get my hands on it. So if you have any tips for that, let me know. But also I think I'm probably just gonna end up ordering it from Waterstones. Then I have a book that I knew I wasn't going to own, and I'm not sure when I'm gonna get to it because I kind of want to reread the series first. And that is A Botanist's Guide to Rituals and Revenge, which is in the Saffron Everly mystery series. And I've read the first 3 books in the series, really enjoy them. They're really fun. Very much not something that I typically read. They're like a murder mystery historical novel, and they're really fun, really enjoy them. But I don't own any of the other books, so I knew I wasn't going to pre-order this one. And I kind of want to reread the whole series up to this point to get to this one, because I have a very like shaky memory of what happened up until here. So not sure when I'm going to get around to this one, but I will be reading it at some point because these are just like so cozy and fun, but also like they have like some darker moments. So really looking forward to this one. I just don't know when I'm going to get to it. And that is also the case with the next book, A Fiery Spirit, which is the sequel to A Bright Heart, which I read at the end of last year, I think, and really enjoyed. Like, it was a very like simple YA fantasy, but I really enjoyed it, and I do own the first one. So I'm pretty sure this is just a duology. So I think what I'm gonna do is read this one from the library to see if I want to then have the duology on my shelves, and then either buy the second one, have them on my shelves, or unhaul the first one and not own them. So because like I enjoyed it, it was fun. It was just like, it felt very much like younger YA, which is something that I'm like kind of moving away from. I'm like not enjoying as much. So I'll have to see if that ends up happening. But again, I need to reread the first one to get to the second one. And I kind of want to do that soon because that book read so fast because it was a bit simpler in the writing style and because it felt a little bit younger. So I can probably do that relatively quickly. And I did really enjoy it. So I do want to read that one. It's just a matter of, again, finding the time to reread the first one to get to the second one, which is kind of the case with a lot of sequels for me. I'm not the best at actually continuing series, but I will get there eventually. And then I have a recent release, The Maiden and Her Monster. I couldn't tell you anything about this, but it's really pretty and I am still interested in it because a lot of these things, when my interest is peaked, my interest stays even if I forget everything about that book. So like every time I hear someone talk about it, it's like, oh yeah, I want to read that. So I'll get there eventually. I need to place like a big hold order, I guess, through my library for like all of these things, just put them all on hold, get them all at once, and then just like go through them and read them. So honestly, I might do that after this video. Actually, I might just sit down and put all of these on hold through my library to then actually like force myself to get to them because I really want to read these. I don't want to because if I push them off until next year, then all of my anticipated releases from next year are going to compound with that, and it's just going to be this big thing. So I would like to get to them before the year is over. So little side tangent, but I do think I'm gonna do that. But the next book is Zom Romcom by Olivia Dade, and I actually went to my library because before I went, I checked online and it said they had it, but someone had checked it out right before I got there, so I didn't get it. But as soon as they return it, I'm going to get it because I cannot wait to read this. It is a rom-com set in a zombie apocalypse, but the love interest is a vampire. There's just so much going on here, and I know I like Olivia Dade's writing. I've read others of her romances, and I've enjoyed them. And this just sounds so fun. I have heard some people not enjoying it and not having a good time with it, so that does make me a little bit concerned, but I'm still going into this with an open mind because I'm so excited for this. Will be reading, and also it starts with a Z, so it completes that little challenge in my A to Z alphabet reading challenge, because Z is one of the hardest letters to get, so really excited about this. Just need to wait for someone else to return it to the library. Then finally, we have in this category, I have The Devil She Knows, and this I'm still very interested in. I have it requested through NetGalley. I hope they give it to me, because this is like a romance with a demon, and it's a sapphic rom-com with a demon. Like, I'm in, you know? Even if I don't end up loving it, I feel like I'm gonna have fun with it, and that's all I could really ask for from a rom-com, is to have fun and root for the couple, and I feel like this has a good chance of me doing that. So I just hope that my request through NetGalley comes through. I just counted, and there were 9 things in that category too. So I have read 9 things, and I'm still excited about 9 things. So, you know, not doing too great, but I mean, the fact that I've read 9, I think I haven't tracked this in any other years, but I think that's more than any other year, because I actually like prioritized doing this, and I pre-ordered a few of them. So I would say we're doing well on that regard. However, I do still have 2 more categories. The next is books that I'm feeling meh about. Like I'll probably end up picking them up at some point, but I'm not like chomping at the bit to get to them the way that I am about the ones in the past category. Like I will probably read them at some point, but it's not a priority for me. And the first one in this category is All Shall Mourn by Ellie Marney. And this is the conclusion to her trilogy that starts with None Shall Sleep. And this one was very interesting because I think she like self-published or indie published this one, where the first 2 were traditionally published, and her publisher just didn't want to do this one. So I'm not really sure what went on there, but even when the second one was announced, I was like, oh, I didn't think this was going to be a series, because it didn't feel like it should be. And I enjoyed the second one. I feel like it just is kind of dragging it out. But Ellie Marney really wanted to get this published, so clearly there's something in there that she wants her readers to have. So I do want to read it. I feel like it's just really not a priority for me right now. Like, it's just, compared to like everything else that I want to read, a lot of these just feel a little bit lackluster. Not that they're bad books or like they're any less quality. It's just my excitement for other things kind of outweighs these, which means that I'm going to take a lot longer to get to them. And next we have something that I actually tried to read, which was Eat the Ones You Love. And I ended up DNFing it because I couldn't get into it. Like, I don't know what it was, but I just could not get into it. And I know that Books and Lala had picked this for her book club, and a lot of people that also didn't enjoy it, and they thought it was like just okay. So this one is something that I might go back to, and I would be willing to give it a second try. But I don't know, because I've already tried it and didn't love it that first time, it makes me a lot less willing to pick it up, especially when I have so many other things to read. So we'll see if I end up going back to that, but like I want to know what the story is. Like, I am still invested in the plot, I think. Next, I have Too Old for This by Samantha Shannon, and I have read everything else that Samantha Shannon has published, and so it's like I would like to read this one, but also like the plot of this just doesn't sound as interesting to me as some of her other novels. And also there was only like, I have like peripheral enjoyment of those books that she's written. Like, I enjoy them, but as soon as I'm done with them, like, I forget about them, you know? Like, they're fine, but I don't love them. So I feel like this is probably just gonna fall in line with that, so I'm not prioritizing getting to this, especially because I've seen a few people reading it now, and they're like, yeah, like, it's fine, like, it's good, it's a Samantha Downing novel, so like, it's fine. And I feel like that's part of the problem that I have with waiting to read these, is that then once the reviews start coming in, I'm like, well, people aren't liking it, so I don't need to get to it. When, like, that could be my favorite book of all time, but, like, right? So we'll see if I end up getting to that. I probably will at some point, because I do want to read all of Samantha Downing's writing. I've enjoyed everything that she's written. I just need to prioritize it over other things, and I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Then I have something that I don't even really remember much about, and that is The Dream Hotel. I remember being interested in this when it was first announced, and then like day by day my interest in it just like decreased. And so now I'm like, yeah, if I was at the library and I saw a copy of it, I'd probably pick it up, but I'm not gonna like place a hold for it. I'm not going to like seek it out. If I happen to find it on a shelf at the library, I'd check it out. Otherwise, I don't think I'm reading this one. And then finally in this category is Bat Eater and Other Names for Cora Zhang. This is another one where it's just like, I was really excited about it when it was first announced, and then like day by day my interest and excitement just like waned, and I still do want to read this one. I've heard a lot of good things about it. It's just, I feel like a lot of these, it's like I need to like read them when my excitement is at its peak, and I'm just not doing that, so then my excitement just kind of dwindles down, and then I get more excited about other things, so then these ones just don't get prioritized. So I do, like, everything in this category is here because at some point I would like to get to it. It just, who knows how long it might be before I actually get to these things. And that's everything in that category, which is another 5 books. So I really do need to start actually either being more selective with my anticipated releases or actually just reading them and anticipating them enough to read them. So I have one final category, which there's only 2 books in, and that is things that I'm not really interested in anymore, either based on reviews that have come out or just like my changing reading tastes. And unfortunately, the first thing in this category is Catabasis or Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. I feel like I had put this on this list just because of like the hype that was surrounding this book, and I had read Babel and Yellowface from R.F. Kuang, really enjoyed them, but this, even just like the plot of it, never really sounded that interesting to me. But I was like, it's R.F. Kuang, everyone's excited about it, I also need to be excited about it. And I'm not really, and it's not even really other people's reviews. It's just like the plot of it is not something that, like, if it didn't have R.F. Kuang's name on it, I would not be interested in this. And so I think that means I probably shouldn't read it. Now, earlier this morning, I was actually just watching Books and Lala's Buzzwordathon vlog that she posted for this month, and she read Catabasis, and she said that she enjoyed it. It just wasn't super character driven, and like the way she was describing it, there were some parts where I was like, oh, that could really work for me, and some parts where I was like, oh, that means I'm not gonna like it. So again, if I see it on the shelf at the library, I would contemplate picking it up. But again, if R.F. Kuang's name was not on this, I would not be interested in it because the plot is not intriguing to me. But I really like R.F. Kuang's writing. So this one kind of feels like a little bit of a paradox for me, where it's like, I don't know if I should pick it up. And I feel like because I've heard so many people having so many issues and like critiques with this book, I'm worried that I'm going to go into it with like a more critical eye and like be picking it apart, which is not what I want to do and like does not make for a super enjoyable reading experience. So maybe once the hype dies down a bit and my library has more copies, I'll pick one up. But this one right now, it's like I have no interest in reading it. I'm really interested in hearing other people's thoughts on it, but personally, I don't think I'm getting around to this one. And finally is The Prince Without Sorrow. And I was actually really excited for this because I love fantasy novels inspired by the author's culture. I feel like they're just so rich and deep and just like have so much complexity to them, and I love them. And that's exactly what this is. And so I was really excited to get to it. But then again, so much time has passed that my excitement has just kind of like dwindled, and I found like the Ashfare King and things that I really, really love. And so I feel like now anything I read that's even kind of similar to that, I'm going to be comparing it to The Stardust Thief and the Ashfare King, and just like nothing can compare to those. And also, I was reading reviews of it the other day because I was going through my Goodreads want to read shelf to just like clean it up, and I was like, oh, what is this? So I was reading reviews because I had completely forgotten about this book. That's how long, like, right. And so I was reading reviews, and a lot of people were just like having a lot of issues with it, just like in like the grammar of it all, and like sentences just not making sense, and it just like being kind of poorly written. And I was like, yeah, that kind of like closes the door and seals the deal for me. I am no longer interested in this. Again, if I see like all of these, I had some interest in them at some point. So if I see them at my library, I'm like, oh, I recognize this book, and there'll be like a spark of interest in me possibly picking it up. But usually when I go to the library, my arms are already full of books by the time I get around to finding things that I'm actually familiar with. So the chances of me picking this one up, slim to none, just because, again, everything that I said, I feel like there's nothing like drawing me to it right now. And like that might change, you know, maybe. Probably not, but I never say never for any of these books, really, is how I feel. Because like at one point I had enough interest in them to put them on this list. So there's clearly something going on there, but it's just like as the years gone on and other books have come out and I've read other things, my interest kind of changed. So again, if you see me reading any of these books that I said I wasn't interested in, don't hold it against me because people can change, okay? Yeah, a lot of these I just feel like as my interest has dwindled, I'm not really interested in picking them up anymore. But I think this really just goes to show that like I either really need to like dwindle my anticipated releases list or like actually just like get to them sooner, because really a lot of these is just like had I read them when like they first came out and like when my interest was like at its peak, I could have ended up really loving them and like getting to a lot of these. But because I let my interest kind of dwindle and like the book's been out for a little while and so I'm getting influenced by people's reviews, I'm just not interested in a lot of them anymore. And that kind of sucks. So I wonder for next year if I'll change the way I do my anticipated releases. But there's also no way to know if you're going to enjoy something before you go into it, really, you know? So I'm not sure what this means for me in the future. What it means for me now is that I'm going to actually try and get through the list of things that I'm interested in by the end of the year. And I'm sure in my end of year wrap up, I'll say a little something about that if I end up reading all 9 of these books. So we'll see if we get there. But yeah, this is like a little bit humbling to know that I was like so excited for all of these books, and I have not read more than half of them. So I am still proud of myself for the ones that I have gotten to, because I feel like usually I'm really, really not very good at reading like new releases. I'm a backlist reader, like true and true. So the fact that I even read 9 of my anticipated releases is really exciting for me. Well, technically 9.5, because I tried to read Eat the Ones You Love and just like was not having a good time. So we're gonna say 9.5. But yeah, so clearly need to make more of an effort and put less books on this list next year. I feel like it's also just fun for me to talk about all the books I'm interested in, even if I know that I'm probably not going to get to them. It's just fun for me to then like help share the excitement about them. So lots to think about, lots to read, and I am actually going to start Lady Dragon today, and I'm really excited about that. So that is where I am going to be the rest of the day. So thank you so much for being here. I would love to know how you're doing with reading your anticipated releases. If you make a list of things you're excited about, do you pre-order books? Have you read some of your anticipated releases of the year? What are you excited about coming out later in the year? Because I feel like from like August through December, we have like so many more releases. This video was originally going to be like anticipated releases for like the end of the year. And then I was like, well, let me check in on my anticipated releases from the beginning of the year and saw how many there were. And I said, I'm not adding to the list. So would love to know if there's things you're interested in for the rest of the year. If you've managed to read through the things that you've already been interested in the beginning of the year, let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts, and I hope you like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you in another video again soon. Bye.